Hey, group leader, thanks so much for click and play on this video. We are in the midst of a series of videos really answering questions that we as a communities department and a team of leaders feel like you might have questions about regarding the direction of the communities department moving forward with this new vision and this new ministry model that we have cast to you recently. And so we are doing our best to anticipate some questions that you might have, to get out in front of those and answer them for you, so that way you can move forward with more confidence and we can have unity going forward as well. And so we're just trying to answer some of these questions. And so in this video in particular, I want to talk a little bit about community groups and some of the questions you might have about those groups. And so I'll just get into it. I've got a list of about 4 or 5 questions that I want to answer that might provide some clarity for you so that you can move forward in confidence. The first question is this: if I currently lead a community group, what is going to change about my group? Well, likely for many of you community group leaders, not a whole lot is going to change. My guess is that you've been leading your group for a couple of semesters already, so you're committed to this group of people. You're probably already incorporating some sort of food and fellowship, and you're studying God's word on some level. You're having group discussion time. You're praying for one another. If you are doing those things, man, we celebrate that, and we want you to keep moving forward and doing those things well. But maybe what you're not doing yet is you have not yet created a culture of multiplication. And we want to have a sending culture, a missional culture in our community groups going forward. And so this is something that we want to incorporate into the culture of community groups by sending at least one individual or one couple to start a catalyst group once a year. And so we want this to be a regular part of your group and what you accomplish every year as a group together. And we'll talk a little bit more about the implications of that and the further questions in this video. But all that to say, maybe a whole lot doesn't change for you, but maybe what does change is trying to figure out, how does our group accomplish creating a culture of multiplication and sending within our community group? Now, the next question might be, how do I implement multiplication into the culture of my group? I hear you talking about this, Chris. So how do I do that? Well, the easy answer is begin talking about sending and multiplication and branching groups early and often in your group. I would say week 1, week 2, you're probably talking about, hey, this is what we're going to do as a group. This is what we're going to try to accomplish. And I want to set this expectation for you. So set that as a leader. You can set the temperature in the room. You can talk about culture. You can talk about vision. And if you let people in on this experiment, on this vision, on this challenge early on, you might be surprised who might raise up and who God might already be stirring in their hearts to lead a group. They just need someone, maybe you as a leader, to tap on their shoulder. Beyond that, man, have individual conversations with people. Like, as you're leading your group this semester, start thinking about people in your group that might have the qualities of a group leader, and start talking to them and start praying for them that God might impress upon them to become a leader, at least for one semester of a catalyst group. And then, beyond that, if no one is stepping up and volunteering, saying, hey, I'll go lead a catalyst group next semester, maybe you start applying a little bit of pressure. Maybe you remind your group, halfway through the semester, like, listen, this is what we've talked about doing. No one yet has stepped up, and I've been praying for you. And so just remember, this is what we're going to do. And so start creating a little bit of tension. Don't do this every week that you gather, but do it strategically and apply a little bit of pressure. You might be surprised at who might step up. And then just continue praying about who God might be laying upon your heart to invite into leadership. And then when you have that person and you feel like you can have that conversation, call them to leadership, commission them to go out within your group and then celebrate their ministry and their sacrifice. And this will build a culture of multiplication within your group. And once it happens once, it gets easier each time, because then your group gets familiar with it And it's sometimes a little bit painful. I'm going to be very honest in that, but it's also healthy because healthy things grow. The next question is this: what if my group doesn't send or receive anyone into our group over the course of 2 semesters or 1 year? And I would say, listen, my heart is not legalism. Legalism never leads to good leadership. And the truth is that I'm probably not authoritative enough. I'm probably not charismatic enough to guilt you into doing something or to just make legalistic mandates for your group. Our heart is not to say, thou shalt, you must do this. It's really to work with you in this. We are definitely, as a department, as pastors over this department, we are definitely trying to create this culture and this expectation, but our heart is to work with you in this. I understand that your group maybe has never branched before. It's maybe never spun off new groups. It's never sent people from your group to start new groups or even received new people into your group. So we want to work with you in this. And so we can sit down and have some conversations about if you don't necessarily accomplish this within the first year, maybe we can sit down and say, hey, let's talk through some strategies that might set you up better for success moving forward. But we want to work with you in this. It's not our goal to just mandate things. And if you don't succeed, then we're going to shut you down or we're going to guilt you. That's not what we're about. We're about grace. We're about leadership. We're about hopefully having honest conversations to help you develop in your leadership. The next question is this: If we send someone from our community group to start a catalyst group, does that mean that they have to leave my community group? And the simple answer is no, not necessarily. They don't have to be torn from your community group. If that individual or couple has the margin in their calendar to start a catalyst group and still attend your community group, of course we want them to have that familiar community. Not everybody has that margin. So for some people, if they start a catalyst group out of your group, they may not have an extra night. So they may, for 1 semester, need to peel off and just start that catalyst group. And then at the end of that semester, if that catalyst group doesn't turn into a regular ongoing community group, then maybe that leader pulls back into your group. But certainly we want that individual or that couple that is starting this new catalyst group to feel free to stick with you and your community group if they have the margin in their group. But yeah, just understand that a part of this multiplication culture that we're creating, it forces us out of our comfort zones. It forces people to step into something new that maybe they've never done before, and it might force them to leave behind, temporarily at least, something that's very easy and comfortable and familiar to them. But we believe that when we invite people into uncomfortable endeavors, we believe that brings growth, it brings development, and this is healthy for our children, this is healthy for our churches, and this is also healthy for community as well. And so, no, they don't necessarily have to leave your group, but we are going to ask them for 1 semester to start that catalyst group. And then the last question briefly is, can I start a new community group or turn my class that I previously led into a community group? And of course, the answer is yes. Maybe you're watching this video and you've never led a community group before. Of course, you can start a community group. All you got to do is start inviting people into it. Maybe you've led a class in the past and you're wondering, what's the best fit for me as a class leader? Should I be a catalyst leader? Should I be a community group leader? And really, it's up to you. We're just going to ask you, whichever direction you move into, we're going to ask you to meet those gathering expectations as a leader. And if you don't know what those expectations are, make sure you go back and watch the first video in this series. And I laid out the gathering expectations for community group leaders, for catalyst group leaders, and care group leaders. And so, we are looking so much forward to groups this fall semester. And hopefully this answers a few of your questions about community groups. And certainly if you have questions that maybe I didn't have a chance to answer in this video, would love for you to reach out you can email me at chris.standridge@crossroadswired.com. We'll see you in our next video.